Hey everybody, it's Ohmwrecker, aka Master Gamer on YouTube. I've had a preview build of Jagged Alliance back in action for about a month now, and for those who don't remember the Jagged Alliance franchise, it's pretty much a tactical strategy game. You might remember XCOM, for example. The Jagged Alliance series was kind of like that, where you're in control of a squad. The squad you can arm up with different weapons, explosives, even body armor, and then you send them out into a tactical type environment. What you're seeing here is the world overlay. This is where you would capture various cities, universities, roadblocks, stuff like that. You'll see that I've captured numerous sites already. At the start of the game, you have none of these sites captured. You're actually just assaulting an airport. So this is, I would say, about maybe a third of the way through the game. But here, what I'm doing is I'm actually assaulting a position that I used to own. The enemy just raided it, and I'm going to take it back from them. So this is the 3D engine where you plan out your moves and assault the enemy, essentially. You'll see here that I'm setting up with one guy laying down. I'm going to have another one open the door so he can take shots at a guy that's a little bit further in that next room. And it is real time. The first couple games were actually all turn-based. They do have a plan and go system that you can use to pause the game at any time and issue orders, but I don't use it too much. I wanted to see how this played out real time because I had already played through Jagged Alliance 1 and 2 turn-based in the past, several times actually. I used to play those games all the time. So I wanted to see what the experience was like in real time, you know, to see if it was still a Jagged Alliance type experience. You will find items scattered about the world. It's always good to search everything you can. Even to go into like neutral buildings, you'll find families and stuff, but sometimes you'll find stuff that's of value. There's also little secret areas scattered about. I didn't want to show any in this video, but you'll on occasion find things like weapon caches and you know, that might house weapons that you really wouldn't be able to afford at that time. Like I said, though, I don't want to ruin those areas. I've found a couple though so far where I was pretty much blown away by what I found. All the characters, they have their own unique commentary, which is pretty funny most of the time. Some of them actually have preferences as to who they'll work with. Some won't actually work with other mercenaries, and it'll be said sometimes in their profile, but you really just kind of have to get a feel, you know, for each character, which ones are going to mix with the others, and which ones, you know, are not a good mix. Like, there are some that prefer to work with women. I forget the name of the trait, but it's like womanizer or something. And if you have women in the squad, then they'll have morale bonuses. There are places to buy weapons, as you saw in that last clip. There was an NPC shop. This is Bobby Ray's Guns and Things. This is a shop that you can access from your laptop at any time. You don't actually have to travel to a city to talk to an NPC. You can actually just fire this up and order stuff. And the inventory does change. He'll send you emails to let you know when there's new weapons in stock and everything. The prices, initially you're going to have a hard time affording most of that stuff. But as you go along and you capture different locations, you start earning money per day, and you know, eventually you'll be able to staff up more with your mercenaries and buy more weapons. The tactical side, obviously you've got your prone. You can sit down, you can aim while standing. What I did there was actually really bad. I put one of my guys in the crossfire, 2 shotguns. Luckily I have, though, a healer. That girl's healing stat is extremely high. That's her main function on the squad. And she's also able to pretty much revive people as long as they're not permadead. There seems to be like a state where they'll permanently die if they get hit bad enough. But if they're just incapacitated, she can bring them back. But with this type of game, the enemies are extremely lethal. They will or they can and often will kill you with 1 or 2 shots, especially before you have body armor. So it really pays to learn how the whole system works. Is each character, not only yours but also the enemies, they have cones of vision. They can also hear, and you can order your characters to go onto a guard type state. But it really just pays to learn, you know, the best ways to set up these engagements. Like in here in this room, there's 3 enemies. They're inside a room that if I come walking in, they're going to get first shots off on me. Since, you know, they're going to notice me and they're already waiting. So here I toss a grenade. This helps me get 2 of them at once. And one of them actually heard that grenade go in, so he tried to run. Fortunately for him, they were both in the range of that explosion. So I had this one last guy to deal with. He moved out of my shot range. So I had a guy on the other side, and I was essentially doing a 2-front attack here. I was going to toss 1 grenade from the left and then bring in my guy from the right. This is the type of stuff that you have to essentially master as you get along, especially as you get into areas with harder and harder enemies. These ones here were, I would say, at kind of moderate side. They've got okay weapons, but later on you'll start running into guys with full body armor, heavy machine guns, you know, even explosives that they'll use against you. And as I said, there is stuff skirted about. There is a endurance stat that goes away while you travel the map. One mistake I made here was that I did not let my guys rest before engaging the city. So I had to go hunt for food to get my stats back up. So you'll see as I eat, there's a red bar at the left, upper left. And that replenishes when you eat food. Here's an example of some of the heavier targeted guys. These guys are taking assault rifle rounds. And you'll see a little number appear next to it. That's their body armor absorbing some of the damage. And they actually had heavy machine guns too, which do a lot of damage. Here you'll see I actually run into a problem facing off against this one last guy, where he kills one of my best shots, not only once, which I'll go and revive, but he ends up getting him one more time right after he comes up to reload. The environments are really, really well detailed, in my opinion. I mean, the developers have populated the interiors of the buildings so well. You know, especially when you enter like things like university and hospitals and, you know, stuff like that, even military bases. They've made all of these environments look really believable and realistic. And you know, I think it's really impressive considering that this isn't like an EA title or an Activision game. You know, it's not a huge budget game, but these developers put in this much effort into populating everything. You'll remember this building from an earlier clip. At this point, I had actually had body armor. I got some heavy assault weapons. I decided to do a little tactic here to pop up at a window with both my guys at once to get a sure kill. Unfortunately, after getting this, one of his buddies noticed that his friend just died and decided he was going to go rush his building. And this is an area where I really wish I had mastered the plan and go system, because I really hadn't at this point, and I was kind of scrambling trying to get my guys in a position to fire. And in doing that, trying to do it real time, I kept misclicking and giving a move order instead of an attack. Cost me one of my top shots. And the guy behind him ended up getting the kill. Luckily though, I had my healer. She was able to bring him back. But if your squad does not have a healer, you're going to have to make sure you don't run into situations like that. Because when your mercenaries die, they're dead for good. I mean, there's no bringing them back. You know, there's no revive spell or anything like that. In this mission, I haven't been able to show really too many of the changes in the environment. This is still more of like a kind of a deserty type area. But there are jungles. As you go further south on the island, the environment changes a fair amount. And you know, this is just a little SAM site. Everything is tied into the story. There, you will be given missions by various NPCs as you go along. And you know, the locations that you capture do have a purpose. So with like this SAM site, there's several SAM sites scattered about the island, and they actually are keeping all non-military aircraft grounded. So one of the reasons you want to take these sites is so that you can get air support back up, and there are NPCs who also request this. So when you're dealing with a smaller site like this, there's usually not a whole lot of guys to take out, and my strategy is always to just kind of go slow, try to get them to notice one of my guys and then come at me. And usually at that point I'll be prone, I'll be covering most of the potential routes that the enemies can take, and I'll pick them off. You'll notice that there is no Fog of War right now. I've heard that they did implement it. I haven't seen it. Most of this footage was taken last month. So you'll see all the red circles on the sides and the bottom. In this build, you can always see your enemies as long as they're outdoors and you've got vision. But indoor enemies you cannot see until you actually start opening up doors or going by windows and looking inside. But even these environments, you know, with the vehicles and the barrels and the crates and the radar dish and the missiles and all that, you can tell that like pretty much anywhere you go, at least anywhere I've seen so far, they've always put a lot of attention into detail.
Awaiting orders.
And I did mention this footage is about a month old. You need to keep in mind though when watching any of this that all of this, anything that you're seeing here can definitely change. I'm not quite sure when this build was actually compiled. I just know that this is a press preview build. But keep that in mind anytime you see pre-release footage that the content may not be final, the UI could change, the you know, anything, the textures, even the Fog of War, like I mentioned, can change. But at this point in the game here, I'm starting to get pretty well armed, and I've got my guys leveled up. They will level up kind of like an RPG where you invest stats or stat points into different stats. So you'll typically see me using this guy Igor to take out my enemies. He's a really, really good shot, and this is where I'm messing with that plan and go feature again. I'm sure a lot of people will like that plan and go feature. I just, you know, I do like real-time strategy games, so it was kind of cool to see how this played out real time.
Enemies are defeated and disgraced.
Here's one example of talking with an NPC.
I may have misjudged you.
The graphics of the characters sometimes is a little bit funny. You know, their models, especially, you know, just like the heads that are talking, are a little bit goofy, but it's not a big deal. It doesn't really take you out of the game too much. And with this girl here, I had completed a quest for her. She asked me to take care of something else. I'd actually done it, so I'm like, alright, I'm going to talk to her again. And in doing that, she offered to join me. What's interesting about her, though, is I didn't realize this at the time. She does not like killing people, but she wanted to join me as a mercenary. So I brought her on. I bought her a decent rifle, and I decided she was going to be my long-range shooter. Well, like I said, she doesn't like killing people, so first off, her stats for combat were not the best, and she also complains a lot when she gets kills.
Can't make the shot.
But you'll see in this specific clip that there's a ton of circles on the edge of the right side of the screen. This was actually a more major base that I was assaulting, and there are times where you will literally be going against 30 plus enemies, and running in Rambo style, like, there's no way it's gonna work unless you, maybe if you had a high stealth squad and we're just going in melee style, picking off your enemies. But other than that, usually what I do is kind of like this type of tactic is I'll open up,
Copy that.
you know, one
What
particular area, like the western side of the base or the southern side, and then I'll start funneling my guys in. But until I get that good entry point where I could,
Copy
you know,
that.
make sure that I'm not
I'm
going
on
to get
it.
flanked anywhere, I'll try to get the attention of them and bring them to me, essentially, and engage from as far away as possible.
Enemy.
There are rifles. Obviously, you can see the Ira girl that she has a rifle, and you could put scopes on them to help with the range. There are also very, very high-end weapons, not just explosives, but also like a 50 caliber sniper rifle that you can use.
Plan.
And those things, you can start engaging people from literally like
This.
2.5 screens away. It's pretty ridiculous.
Over, man! Game over!
But they also start to get that stuff too. You'll deal with snipers sometimes where they've got
It'd be really
extreme
amazing
range on you,
myself if I could hit
and
it.
you've got to sit there and try to find a way to get up on them where you can take a
Roger
shot.
that.
There's an inventory
on it.
system. You've seen it in various clips. Characters do have a weight limit. They can only carry so much.
Awaiting orders.
Nothing to report.
Got it.
Nothing to report. Everyone in position.
Here, I'm trying to continue leveling up Ira. Just trying to get her some kills. Experience is distributed among the characters that take part in combat. So if you've got 2 or 3 characters that are engaging a single target and that target eventually
I'll
dies,
make the shot.
they'll both share the experience. Or all 3 of them, depending on how many. And you can have different mercenary squads moving about the map at the same time. So far I've only had just my one because it is extremely expensive to recruit via your laptop. And so far I've only found the one that joins me as part of a quest completion.
And stay down.
Yeah, and these guys, they keep coming. The AI is pretty decent. You'll actually see them do flanking maneuvers, and just when you start to think that maybe they're predictable, they'll do something that you don't predict. And, you know, I'm sure, you know, some people will learn to exploit them pretty well. As you'll see, I've got bodies all over the place, but
Moving. Copy
they
that.
do have some intelligence behind them. And also, as you saw there, you can rotate the camera. I didn't actually figure that out until that point in the game. That's one of the negatives of getting press build sometimes, is that you don't have that manual or anything to reference usually.
I'm on it.
But this clip is going to wrap it up. This was a final engagement where I finally got Ira her 50 caliber rifle,
Awaiting orders.
and that thing is ridiculous. I mean, it can penetrate body armor better than anything else I found.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with these guys with body armor, it just punches right through them, and you can usually 1 or 2 shot
I'm on
people,
it.
and you can even get headshots off at a long range,
This weapon is jammed.
especially when they're still, when your targets aren't moving. So I decided, all right, well, I'm gonna get one guy to engage with his heavy machine gun, and then have her take shots. Unfortunately, though, since she was prone, she was having trouble lining up a
No
shot.
guarantee from this
And you'll see, though, the enemies, they end up storming him. And she gets her shots off. She actually complains because she's disgusted by her kill. I'll just let you hear that really quick. So I tell her to do a headshot.
Roger that. Copy that.
Ah,
Oh my god, that's so revolting.
this is serious.
On it.
Waiting orders.
Oh my god, that's so
Yeah.
revolting.
She got 2 headshots in a row.
I'm on it.
And then I ran my guy away from the grenade. Anyway, that's all, guys. If you have any questions about the game, let me know. It comes out next month, and you can pre-order it right now on Steam, actually. They've got some pre-order incentives, but it's a really good game. If you like tactical strategy at all, I highly recommend checking it out. And that's all. Talk to you guys later. Bye.